The infamous Supreme Court leaker, the one who handed its draft opinion overturning Roe versus Wade to a member of the media before the court officially ruled on it. It was an unprecedented breach, and now we may soon know who it was. Back in May, when the draft was leaked to Politico, protests erupted across the country. Barricades went up outside the court. Political leaders and others were furious over the leak. Investigation was launched, and the left and right politicized media blaming each other for the breach, convinced whoever did this must have been doing it to try to hurt the other side.
Whoever this leaker is, they are a huge asset to the Democratic Party.
But once again, it looks like the left will just smash an established government process to get their way.
That it came from somebody who was afraid that this majority might not hold.
It's more likely that somebody on the hard right was really pissed off that a justice moved away from Alito's really harsh right-wing diatribe on abortion and instead moved more towards Robert's way. It was a classic, hey, we've got the receipts, buddy.
All right, I don't know who did it. It was a huge story, but then the focus shifted. The Supreme Court's official decision came down. The anger and jubilation felt by those on either side of the abortion debate was instead directed toward the practical implications of what is now the law of the land. Here and there, we'd get some updates. The marshal of the court, Gail Curley, was leading the investigation. Okay. Law clerks were lawyering up because they were being required to turn over their cell phones and sign affidavits. Okay. But it seems like the media largely lost interest with the slow pace of the investigation and moved on. And look, that could have been because we haven't been getting much in the way of updates, because the court, for obvious reasons, has been extremely tight-lipped on its investigation. And they should be. Can you imagine if they started leaking about the leak investigation? Until they find them all. Look, it seems the wait could be over soon. In somewhat extraordinary comments this week, Associate Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch said that the court was close to completing its investigation on who leaked the draft opinion. Quote, "The Chief Justice appointed an internal committee to oversee that investigation. That committee has been busy, and we're looking forward to their report. I hope soon." According to the Wall Street Journal, Gorsuch suggested the leaker was trying to influence the court's decision. Quote, "Improper efforts to influence judicial decision-making from whatever side are a threat to the judicial process," he said. "They inhibit our capacity to communicate with one another, reducing the candor between jurists of different persuasions that improves our final product. I very much hope we get to the bottom of this sooner or later." And then Justice Elena Kagan saying this week she expects an update by the end of the month, though Kagan says she doesn't know how much about the investigation, which was launched by Chief Justice Roberts, or whether they've zeroed in on the perp. Kagan calling the leak, quote, "shocking and obvious blatant violation of the court's rules." According to CNN, Kagan saying that if investigators have not figured out who the perp was, the next serious question is how the court prevents the same thing from happening again. The court, she added, depends upon its deliberations and reasoned decisions, and if you can't do that, if you know, you might wake up tomorrow morning and there's a decision and it's on the front page of newspapers. Now, the court begins a new term next month. Understandable. The justices want to address the situation with a leak as they prepare to hear more enormously controversial cases, including voting rights, immigration, affirmative action, environment, religious freedom. Cases the leaker, if he or she is still somewhere within the court, might be privy to. Joining me now is Ilya Shapiro, Senior Fellow and Director of Constitutional Studies at the Manhattan Institute. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to ask you to read a little tea leaves. Justices don't speak out publicly that often, right? What does it tell you, A, that Gorsuch and Kagan are speaking out, and B, is there anything in the language that they're using that indicates to you that they may know who it is?
Nothing that they revealed suggests that they know anything. Chief Justice Roberts himself confirmed that the report was coming. He spoke at the same conference where Gorsuch spoke. So presumably end of the month, or the term starts in 3 weeks now. That would be good if that'll be by that point 5 months since the leak, if we have a report, because that's really important. We've had lots of justices. You go back to the beginning of the summer, and Justices Thomas and Sotomayor, again on opposite ends of the spectrum, talked about the tensions and how hard it was the last few months of the term. So I think all the justices seem to be least by what they're saying publicly, on the same page. They have to live and work with each other for decades. They don't want this tense environment where nobody trusts each other and the clerks can't talk to each other and so forth. So hopefully the investigation turns up things, and it turns up ways in which the court can prevent future such leaks, short of turning off the internet to the court, because you can't do legal research very well that way.
How does this investigation work with regard to informing the court of where they are, right? So the marshal is leading it, but is she informing Chief Justice Roberts of what she's finding, et cetera? Or is this something where you think it's completely separate, and at the end of it, the marshal's just going to hand Roberts and the court findings? We
don't know. It could be that Roberts and the marshal are talking, weekly or periodically as there are new developments. It could be that he dictated to her the certain parameters of the investigation. Will we be looking at the phone records and emails of justices' spouses? Will we be looking at, there's lots of ways that this could be pursued, and we just don't know what John Roberts knows. It seems like by their public statements that the other justices don't know anything other than the report is coming. On the one hand, it's a good thing that this is being conducted seriously and behind closed doors, and hopefully that means that it's thorough as well, and we will indeed get an answer.
Do you expect that if they identify the person, right, and let's say it's someone who works within the court building, right, whoever that may be, criminal charges possible?
Well, one thing we have to remember is that the most likely leaker is a clerk. And the clerks ended their time at the court when the term ended, the last week of June. So no, we have a whole new set of clerks there now. The old ones are, off at law firms or teaching or doing what they're doing in their post-court career. On the question of criminal charges, it's unclear. Different law professors have theorized things that, in theory, the Justice Department could pursue, but it's not a slam dunk case. It would have to be something like misusing or mishandling government property, some similarities to the Mar-a-Lago raid, I suppose, classified information or what have you. But the reputational damage, I think, is much more significant, regardless of what charges might be contemplated.
The person could get disbarred, for example, right?
Absolutely. Now, if that person becomes a hero of the left wing, they could still get a lucrative MSNBC contributorship or a lectureship at Yale Law School. I'm actually recording this from Yale. So
you still think it's more likely it came from the left?
Look, it's all speculation.
I know. I'm totally torn. I was initially 100% convinced it came from the left. I was absolutely, and then I started thinking about it, and I started, spending more time. And I'm like, actually, as a strategic matter, maybe it's more advantageous to the right. I don't know. But
double reverse psychology. It could be some papers laying at home and somebody's spouse or friend or something. We just don't know. But hopefully, the report will tell us.
Ilya Shapiro, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
That does it for us tonight. Banfield starts right now. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.